So last week, something happened that completely changed my perspective on Porsche ownership. And the craziest thing is, it didn't happen at a dealership, didn't happen at a track, didn't happen at the Porsche Experience Center. It happened in the parking lot. The hot Florida sun beaming down, just beating us up. Heat waves rippling up off the asphalt. A collection of close to 50 Porsches just lined up like a declaration of Stuttgart design and engineering history. I mean, the range was all inclusive. We're talking 911s, Caymans, Targas, Boxsters, Panameras, you name it. Just a tribute to German design. And then one comment from another Porsche owner made me realize something that a lot of Porsche enthusiasts miss. So last week I decided to take a road trip. Found myself down in Florida in some of those special landscapes that are really dear to me, and I connect with a couple of my buddies. We meet up, do some driving. They happen to be Porsche enthusiasts as well. And as fate would have it, I call a couple of buddies, they call a couple of buddies, they call a couple of buddies, and before you know it, we're assembled in a parking lot. It's Porsche Shangri-La. Not 10 Porsches, not 20 Porsches, more than 30 Porsches, probably more than 40 Porsches, just spanning this parking lot, which is probably the most beautiful thing I've seen in a while. It was a organic pop-up Porsche meet. And then one of my buddies pulls up, hypothetical Doug, pulls up in his GT4. Now, Doug had plenty of places to park, plenty of open spaces to back into. No, Doug had to wedge right in between two cars, right in the middle of the scene. It was hypothetical Doug's look at me moment. You know, it was that center stage, spotlight on me, main character energy that he was putting out. So as time goes by, the crowd just starts coming in. The public comes in, the car enthusiasts, Porsche enthusiasts, and Doug looks at me and says, man, they just can't stop admiring these Porsches. I smile, I look at Doug and I say, hey, they're admiring those Porsches. They're investigating your Porsche. And you know, that's when it clicked for me, because people automatically assume that because your car wears the Porsche crest, it's automatically going to have the Porsche driving experience. And that's just not true. That's not true at all. So I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm about to say something that's going to irritate some Porsche owners and probably just plain piss off some Porsche enthusiasts. But the fact is this, all Porsches are not the same. Now, hang on, before you start going crazy in the comments, this is not a Porsche hierarchy video. This is not a GT3 versus Carrera video. This is not a Turbo S versus base video. This is certainly not a 911 versus Cayman or Boxster video. This is not one trim versus another trim. This is something much, much greater. Two identical cars, same year, same model, same engine, same options. But yet one feels like a precision instrument and the other, it just feels vague, loose, unresponsive. And how can that be? Well, the answer is simple. Ownership matters. Ownership changes cars. And here's a point that many Porsche buyers and Porsche owners willfully overlook. A 10-year-old Porsche is still a 10-year-old car. A 15-year-old Porsche, still a 15-year-old car. It's not a bad thing. It's just the reality. These cars have had 10 to 15 years of heat cycle, starts and stops, idling in traffic, bumps, impacts, loosening, under torquing of seams and screws and bolts, vibrations. The cars are lived in, the cars are experienced. And again, that's not a bad thing. That's just reality. And again, the reality is that time affects all things, all cars. The rubber doesn't know it's on a Porsche. The plastic doesn't care about what it's attached to. It still dries out and ages, and it's unavoidable. Bushings age. The cooling system, it ages. Electronics age. The leather, the trim ages. The suspension components wear out. And again, the laws of physics, well, they don't change, and they're definitely not diminished just because your car has Porsche on the hood. Buying a 10-year-old car does not erase 10 years of wear and tear. It simply changes the name on the invoice. Now, here's where Porsche ownership tends to get rather nebulous, because buyers like to think, well, the previous owner took the hit, or the previous owner paid for that. But here's the thing. The car, it doesn't know who wrote the check. It doesn't know who the previous owner is. It doesn't care whose name is on the title. You see, the car only knows what it needs. And a 12-year-old car, well, it doesn't care if you've owned it for 12 years or if you've only owned it for 12 days. If the car needs suspension, it needs suspension. If it needs cooling system work, it needs cooling system work. So when you're looking at the pre-owned cars, you got to understand this. A car's history, it follows the car. It doesn't follow the owner. And you know what, guys? Mileage. Well, mileage can be a trap. In fact, it's a mistake that many Porsche buyers make. They see the odometer and they fall in love with it. 40,000 miles, this car has to be a safe buy. And that's not always the case, because the odometer reading, well, that's just one chapter in the overall story of the car. Now let's look at two cars. Car number one, 2012 Boxster, 160,000 miles on it. One owner, complete service history, cooling system refreshed, suspension refreshed, preventative maintenance done, software upgrades current, every major item addressed. Now let's consider car number two. Same year, same make, same model, but this car only has 40,000 miles. Multiple owners, missing service records, original wear items, and history is just unknown. Which one of these cars would you buy and drive across country in today? Well, I'm taking car number one, and I'm taking car number one every single time. Because again, mileage is just a snapshot. It's only part of the story. Maintenance, upkeep, service history tells the rest. And low mileage doesn't automatically mean that a car is low risk, because sometimes it simply means that the problems haven't had enough time to introduce themselves. And yes, I know some of you guys are going to find this video offensive, but it's just a myth. All Porsches are not the same. Most people shop for the badge. Intelligent people, they shop for the history of the car. Because the fact is, the badge, well, it gets you into the club. But the maintenance history, it determines the experience. So real quick, let's get back to hypothetical Doug. Now, let me be clear. This isn't about GT4 owners. This isn't about any particular model. A misused or neglected Carrera. This could be a neglected Panamera. It could be a neglected Macan. It could be any range of neglected Porsches. Doug's GT4 just happened to be the example. When you look at Doug's car, you literally can write your name with your finger in the soot on his rear bumper. The car looks like it's sending up smoke signals on startup. When the engine is at idle speed, it sounds like a toolbox giving tap lessons on a tin roof. And the interior, well, that's a whole nother thing. The trim pieces look like they're trying to literally escape the car one clip at a time. And now the crazy thing is Doug, well, he thinks the badge is doing the talking. And he's partially right. But the problem is the car is talking also. And the car's telling a totally different story. And you know what, guys? Right now is a perfect point for me to level set this conversation, because I know my audience, and I know it's a couple of viewers that are going to hit me in the comments with, I'd never buy a new Porsche, let somebody else take the hit, blah, 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 blah. Listen, I get it. But let me be clear. This video, it's not about buying a new Porsche. It's not about flexing with a bigger budget. It's not about one model being better than another or one trim being better than another. No, this video is simply about stewardship, because the undeniable fact is this. Two owners can buy two brand new Porsches today And in 5 years, there'll be 2 totally different cars. And it's about ownership experience. You see, one owner, well, they're going to take care of the car. They're going to preserve engineering. They're going to keep it up to date. They're going to keep it current. And then you have the other owner, which is, in many cases, they're doing their very best just to be in the car. They're going to defer maintenance. They're going to ignore service bulletins. They're going to ignore that light that comes on and goes off intermittently. You see, in one case, you're going to have an owner that's going to do everything they can to manage and preserve a unique performance experience. But then the other case, you're going to have an owner that's going to allow that to deteriorate and waste away. And that's the difference in ownership and how it changes cars. And at the end of the day, well, your Porsche, it's not simply a reflection of the crest that's on the hood. It's also a reflection of you. So let me ask you something. Which one would you choose? A perfectly maintained Porsche with 160,000 miles on it? Or a neglected Porsche with only 40,000 miles on it? At what point does deferred maintenance change what that Porsche actually is? At what point does it actually stop delivering the experience that Porsche engineered? And here's what I believe. I believe that people love saying, I own a Porsche. But ownership, well, it's not determined by the badge. It's determined by what you've done to preserve what the badge actually represents. And now I know this is going to create some level of debate, and that's good, because that's what makes the conversation good. It makes the conversation healthy. So I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to ask you, which would you prefer? Mileage over maintenance? And you can only pick one. Drop it down in the comments. I look forward to your answer. And until the next video,